Summertime. Peacefulness. Serenity. A time for the serious athlete to leisurely pursue a hobby. But much on the mind of Michael Jordan is the season that lies ahead. Soaring to a scoring title was not enough. To be doused in championship splendor. To stand tall as a leader. These are his ultimate dreams. Weighing on veteran Dave Corzine as he prepared for his 10th year are haunting memories of postseason frustrations. For family man John Paxson, assisting others has become a full-time job. His hopes are to nurture the bright future of the Bulls. Comforted by a new place he can call home, Brad Seller's confidence is expected to grow as he adjusts to the rigors of the NBA. For Coach Doug Collins, 1987 ended in playoff disappointment. It was time to turn the focus toward the new season.
We won 40 games last year. We were picked to win 25 to 30. Our guys played hard every night. That's my job as a coach, is to get them to play hard every night and prepare them and put them in position to win. This year, the expectation level will be different. 40 wins is not enough because people expect us to be better. So, we've got to take another step up now. For us to get there, we got a lot of work to do. But we had a great draft. We got some good young kids. We have a chance to be exciting. The city of Chicago is alive for basketball. The All-Star game is there this year. So everything points to it being an exciting season.
Coming into the 1987-88 season, no team in the NBA was more compelling than the Chicago Bulls. They had a winning foundation and possessed the two most electrifying words in all of sports: Michael Jordan. A year ago, Jordan became the second player in history to score 3,000 points in a season. He began the new campaign with the same zest for filling it up.
Basket looks like Lake Michigan. I mean, whatever you throw up there is going to go in. And if it hits the rim, it's still going to go in. You just got a good feeling of the ball and of the touch. People say that the weakest part of my game is my outside shooting. So the first thing that they give me is my outside shot. And if I hit that outside shot, then that's more weapons for me. And it opens up everything for me. And I feel that, I can score on anyone.
Jordan carrying the scoring load, the Bulls improved last year's record from 30 to 40 wins. But critics wondered how much more the team could grow with just one man armed and ready.
I think if you ask Michael Jordan right now, he would look at you as I'm looking at you and tell you that he'll trade 10 points off his average for 10 more wins. And that's where we're headed, For Michael to average 27, 28 points a game, and for us to win 50.
In order to do that, the Bulls brought in new faces to bolster team balance. They included first-round picks Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen, young thoroughbreds who were touted to make an immediate impact in the NBA.
All right, let's go. Red ball, white on defense. You stop them, you keep it, we stay in the fight.
However, the national focus was geared to solely one player, and Michael Jordan was determined to stand up to the star billing. He poured in 36 points in the season opener and helped seal a close win against division rival Atlanta. Once a common victim of the final buzzer, the Bulls were now high-stepping their way for a full 48 minutes. Off to a 4-0 start, NBA crowds wanted to get a bird's-eye view of the league's hottest team, with Jordan showing mid-season form.
After Michael Jordan, this spells trouble. Oh!
Chicago showed amazing success on the road as they snapped the Celtics' 33 home game winning streak. Next, it was Pippen's turn to play hero.
Chrissy into the front court. Steals the ball. The Bulls win. And the Chicago Bulls are 9-2. They have the best record in the NBA.
The Bulls continued to rip up the competition into early December.
Michael in traffic, off to Pippen, in for the left on Sampson. He jammed it right in his face.
Winning combinations unfolded at both ends of the floor. Everything was going their way on the road, even with the game on the line where they discovered miracle finishes on enemy turf.
Left side, he drives all the way in. Scoop layup off the glass, no good. And the game is over. The Warriors lose. What a shot they got at driving.
Half of the NBA's 82-game schedule is played on the road. And away from home, these Bulls keep things loose.
This is the winner. I'm gonna get rich. I'm getting 30 million.
I just got there. I had one.
These are my pigeons. This is fun. We just lost the Boston Celtics, but guess what? I'm winning! Yeah!
Two fellas with us now. Teach them how to play tough.
A WBBM camera crew discovered the really hard part of a player's job is making difficult flight connections at odd hours.
JD! All that's been taken care of.
Somebody please let me in the game.
This is going to be another talk hand.
Why?
You get this on camera. This is a spread right here. This is a spread.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This year, the expectations have been higher, which means more pressure. What we have to do is make sure that that doesn't carry over to our travel on the bus, on the planes, where the guys feel it 24 hours a day. If they do, eventually something will crack.
But winning has made the Bulls a more relaxed unit, as observed by trainer Mark Feil.
I think the thing that probably has changed more than anything is the team itself seems to be very close. My first year, we were 45-37, but it seemed, I doubt very much that if you would have made a trip with us at that time, you would have ever caught more than one or two players together at a time.
Bet it. We take it. Dog take it. Dog take it.
Among this cast of characters are men like forward Charles Oakley, the team's ever-present jovial enforcer.
He's a rookie here. We got to interview by you today. He gets treatment like this. And tweet next year this time, all right? All right? Yeah, okay.
All rookies, no matter how rich and talented, have to earn the respect of the veterans.
The main person is Charles Oakley. We call him the enforcer, and he enforces his own rules. Carry my bags, pay for my meals, whatever Charles Oakley wants you to do.
Anytime, any place, the brawn of the Bulls' front line is ready to show who's the boss.
He also in practice is the same as Michael. He knocks Pippen down just as easily as he'd knock any opponent coming into the basket. And he does it in a way that tells other players like Horace and Pippen that this is a tough league. And you got to go in with the big guys and mix it up. You don't have to fist fight, but you certainly got to get ready for contact.
Under Oakley's tutelage, Grant became a quick student of the NBA power game and led all rookies in controlling the board. The rookie from Clemson also supported his reputation as a fine scorer, exuding confidence every time he fired a shot. Grant's ACC background certainly helped him quickly adapt to the NBA. There was another talented rookie, Scottie Pippen, and the two would forever share a special bond. As first-round draft choices for the same team, they shared the ups and downs of a rookie season. The inspired play of this young tandem was one of the reasons the Bulls' Jerry Krause was honored as the NBA Executive of the Year. Early on, it was Pippen who captivated fans with smooth offensive moves and his remarkable ascension to the pro ranks. He was the 5th pick in the entire draft, despite playing for tiny Central Arkansas. His stock rapidly surged by dominating several pre-draft all-star tournaments.
You know, I really had nothing to lose. You know, no one knew about me, and I was sort of a long shot, so whatever I did was a plus in my corner.
Pippen started the season on a tear, but began to press after suffering a nagging thumb injury. Fearful of hurting his young star's confidence, Collins limited Scottie's playing time.
I think he was just out there playing, having fun. Then when he got injured, his game suffered, and then he started thinking. And in doing that, the fun left, and he started playing with that look on his face like, you know, I'm not enjoying myself. And he has to play free and easy. He can't play where he's thinking so much that it takes away from his natural instincts.
On the bench, Pippen had to digest one of the toughest lessons of all, that good fortune can stop as quickly as it began. The dead of winter, a time when even the roughest bears seek hibernation. Chicago nights are remarkably clear, and the hawk comes howling off the lake, making citizens long for a special tropical paradise. But during the first weekend in February, Chicagoans did have a paradise of sorts. The NBA convened for the 38th annual All-Star Game and made Chicago the center of the basketball world. The greatest stars from around the league assembled en masse, some returning to their hometown, while others looked to make new friends. Fans met up with their favorite heroes as well as first-time recipients, all recognized as the very best in the business, perhaps of all time.
I am definitely honored to be here. I didn't expect to even be in the league at this late date.
First thing I did is when I found out that I was coaching, I called Pat up and asked him if he'd like to pass on any advice and tried to pick up a few tips from him.
All-Star Weekend meant much more than a showdown on Sunday. Terrific fan support made it an immediate sellout 18 months before the athletes came to town. Moreover, this was a playground sport to be played in a city filled with playground heroes. A veritable feast for those dining on hoop du jour.
Saturday, we're going to start off with the All-Star, the old-timers, and we're going to move on into the three-point, then we're going to groove you with some slam dunk. And I'm talking about behind the head dunk. Take it up over here. It's going to be good. So, look, get the nachos, the hot dog, the hamburger, everything, and sit back. Don't move.
Up next, the three-point long-distance shootout and a mesmerizing performance by Boston's Larry Bird. Bird made it to the final round without even removing his warm-up jacket and set his sights on a third straight title. He needed 15 points in 60 seconds, and for the first time in history, Chicago Stadium was in full support of the Celtic great.
Now, he's all over the place in this rack. Usually he comes back with that big money ball that keeps him close.
He's hit both the money balls, both the two-point balls.
It's like he's over-adjusting. He's come up short, and then he's all of a sudden throws it a little bit long. He certainly doesn't have that normal Bird rhythm going for himself.
He does not. And 25 seconds remaining. Has only 7. Has to beat 15.
That's 8. Make it 9. And 10. 11 as we're counting. 13.
A huge rack that time for Bird.
He's still got to drop one here quickly. 14. This is a tie for the money. Yo!
Larry Bird at the buzzer with the 2-point ball. 17-15. Defends the long-distance shootout crowd at Chicago Stadium.
Bird won his event on conviction and will. 8 men now look to win the slam dunk contest on sheer nerve. Began with 8 participants, but there was little doubt where the competition would ultimately go. Dominique Wilkins and Michael Jordan ruled the roost as the NBA's greatest daredevils, and each looked forward to notching his 2nd title as slam dunk champion. First 2 rounds, Wilkins and Jordan were literally heads above the field. Their gravity-defying slams met in a decisive 3-attempt showdown. Wilkins started matters by scoring the afternoon's first perfect score. Wilkins' perfect 50 put the pressure squarely on Jordan's shoulders. But to no one's surprise, Michael rose to the occasion. Both were dead even after 1 attempt, and Wilkins again unleashed his thunder. Was another perfect 50 a knockout punch? Not when up against Chicago's resident showman. Jordan's 47 left him 3 points behind, and Wilkins geared up for a monstrous windmill jam. Wilkins' 3rd slam dunk was judged less than perfect and left enough room for Jordan to win on his final attempt. He cleared the runway for a coast-to-coast slam and made sure to kick in the afterburners. Capacity crowd erupted in earnest appreciation. They witnessed 2 men with rockets in their heels and fire in their eyes. But on this day, it was Michael Jordan who would walk away as top gun. The moments before an All-Star game are quite unlike any other contest in the NBA. Coaches work extra hard in covering all the bases. Athletes fulfill their responsibilities for being named as one of the game's best. All participants prepare differently for game day. Some on the Eastern squad sought their solitude, while others are always eager to get a word in edgewise.
Donnie and Marie's game preparation gets him fired up.
Game preparation was also in full swing in the West locker room. The process was old hat for this 9-time All-Star, but for new faces, like Xavier McDaniel, the butterflies were fluttering. This day was the fruition of years of hard work. Pat Riley was making sure that his stars were prepared.
From Chicago Stadium with the capacity crowd.
Once on the court, the aura of the mid-season classic takes hold, and motivated players try to live up to their lofty acknowledgement. Recognized as one of sports' greatest events, the NBA All-Star Game undoubtedly showcases the greatest athletes in the world. Yet outshining the rest of this field of superstars was Chicago's Michael Jordan. Jordan first teamed up with slam dunk rival Dominique Wilkins, then poured on some razzle-dazzle of his own. Named to his 4th All-Star game in as many seasons, Jordan left little doubt why he was the NBA All-Star's top vote-getter. The best of the West couldn't slow down an unstoppable Jordan extravaganza. And waiting on the sidelines was one of the game's active legends, on the verge of a career all-star scoring record.
The crowd understood exactly what was happening, and they knew he needed another basket, so they started to chant, "We want Kareem, we want Kareem." And I finally looked down at him, and I raised my eyebrows, and he raised his, and that was it.
Eagerly, Kareem looked to own another piece of NBA history.
I called a timeout, explained to the team what the situation was.
It was special to me, so I know how he must have felt. So they ran the play that we usually run on our team, where we clear the whole side. And he brought me in to deliver it to him, and I gave it to him, and he hit it. And the fact that the fans appreciated it and wanted him to do it there, I think that's what made me feel so good.
But the evening belonged to Michael Jordan, who knocked home 40 points in a 138-133 victory for the East All-Stars. With his family looking on, Jordan was named the game's most valuable player and picked up his 2nd trophy in as many days. Half of the season revved up. So did the Gremlins within the Bulls' scoring game. They were held to under 90 points in 3 of the next 4 games, and Doug Collins couldn't wait to put them through their paces in practice. The order of the day was getting back to basics. Defense was emphasized, knowing that the offense would eventually turn around.
I was with Philadelphia. People thought that we won on offense. We really never did. We won on defense that created offense and easy baskets for us.
And the Bulls back to a 6-point advantage. Here's Sparrow steals the ball in the backcourt. He's got a breakaway. Lays it in. The Rivers, Atlanta back on the attack. Up court, Randy Wiggins. Paxson steals the ball. The Bulls back with a 3-on-2. Paxson leads Jordan into the left. He lays it in. And a foul on Rollins.
Strategically, the Bulls collapsed around the basket, double-teamed the ball, and took advantage of the opposition's carelessness. It was a straightforward approach to defense, which was anchored by Charles Oakley. Oakley helped Chicago become the league's best defensive rebounding team and also mastered the outlet pass.
Charles has a great arm. He's got good vision of Michael. And when he gets the ball, he explodes to it. And they're pretty active. They're pretty good at that.
Rebound, oh no, long pass to Jordan ahead of everybody, and he's going to strand out.
Short, got the miss, and now Oakley hustled in. Jordan had broken free.
The Bulls' stingy defense was led by the league leader in steals, Michael Jordan. Last year, Jordan became the first man ever to have over 200 steals and 100 block shots. This year, he did it again.
The first time I observe how he handles the ball. If he has great handle with the ball, then it's going to be more difficult for me to steal the ball from him. But if he doesn't, then there's different ways. You know, I can trick him one way and reach around him, or, you know, just go straight at him and go for the steal. But if he handles the ball very well, you almost have to sneak up on him.
Jordan's style resembles a free safety, roaming the court and picking the toughest assignment regardless of size or height.
To say Michael Jordan doesn't play defense is ridiculous. Interestingly enough, great players never want to be one-dimensional. And I think the one thing that bothered Michael more than anything else is the great year he had last year, that he got no credit for his defense.
Well, it's been a goal of mine this season to really get that recognition that I want on the defensive end. You know, right now I'm still getting most of the recognition on the offensive end because I'm averaging 34 points, but the defensive end is where I really want some recognition because it takes a little bit off of that all offense and, you know, averaging 37 points or whatever, leading the league in scoring. That's an image that I don't want to project, that I just shoot and I just score and I'm just an offensive player. That's something that I don't want to be remembered as.
At midseason, there was a new face in town ready to make a difference. Sam Vincent came off Seattle's roster and raced into the Bulls' backcourt, taking hold of the starting point guard position.
It's a real nice day in Seattle. I just got done doing some sailing and got back in and all of a sudden got a call, and that was Bernie, and he was telling me about the trade.
To Vincent. Vincent's style was perfect for curing the Bulls' greatest ailment, pushing the ball up court and igniting the fast break.
The fast break to Michael Jordan.
Well, that's definitely my style of play. You know, I know when Mike goes to the corner and he's got 2 or 3 guys, you're either going to have to leave me wide open at the top or else you're going to have to leave the lane.
Sam Vincent up court for the Bulls, drives it down the lane, lays it in, draws the foul. What a solid drive by Sam Vincent.
First of all, he stepped in and played super, and the guys got great confidence. They like him. He's fit very well into the personality of this team. He's young. I think that he has really helped some of our younger players because it's another guy on the floor other than Michael that can make things happen.
Already to Vincent's credit was a championship ring. This time around, he looked to play a more integral part in winning a title.
And now he is in Chicago with a starting opportunity, a chance of his lifetime where he's playing and can make a name for himself and get out and work for a world championship ring.
Back of the break, Sam Vincent down the lane, lays it up. Sam Vincent took it in.
Vincent's arrival could not have happened at a more opportune time. In a March 10th battle against the Lakers, he got the Bulls off to a fast start. This new dimension was a script change that Showtime had not expected. Repeatedly, the Bulls pushed the ball down court and knocked home an easy basket. It was a special moment for another Bulls sellout crowd. Sure, they had seen their team win by 21 points before, but never at the expense of the reigning world champions. Chicago's victory was so convincing that one wondered if these rejuvenated Bulls were the real thing or merely imposters. That became clear 8 days later when Jordan and company took on the Boston Celtics and tore them apart. It was one of those games where Jordan was in his famed shooting zone, where everything he threw up was destined to go in. 2 years earlier, he had embarrassed the Celtics with a single-game scoring record in the playoffs. But this time, Chicago would be on the winning side of the ledger. He pumped in 50 points and made it seem unfair that Boston was allowed only 5 men to defend Chicago's Superman.
Michael doubled up, works with 10 to shoot into the left corner. Jordan feeds Corzine, return to Jordan, flipped out. Hey, 50 is over. Michael Jordan with a 50 tonight.
The Bulls would then pack their bags and head west for a week on the road.
Okay, you got 4 there, you got 7, 9 down there, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Go.
Another day, another city. The players' main responsibility when traveling aboard the airlines is to hand carry their uniforms in case of lost luggage.
Charles.
They traveled to L.A. with the intent of reclaiming their early season touch in opposing arenas. After big victories against L.A. and Boston, the coaching staff felt a solid road trip would pump the team for the stretch drive.
So he doesn't get naked on a backdoor situation.
This is a game that we're going to have to go out and have high energy. We have a high energy level. We win tonight, we got tomorrow off, so you can spend all night in Los Angeles doing whatever you want to do tonight. I don't care. Otherwise, we got practice tomorrow afternoon.
In Los Angeles, a city built by flash and tinsel, Clipper fans came out expressly to catch the Bulls. Their support was so overwhelming, it made one think this game was played in Chicago Stadium.
There's a little pressure, mainly because, you know, the people are there to see you score 50 and see their team win.
Fans chowed down to some of Jordan's own home cooking. He padded his league-leading scoring average and pushed the Bulls 12 games over the 500 mark.
There's something about the human touch. I think it's important to talk to people as adults, to talk to them the way you'd like to be talked to, but also to reach out and touch a guy. And I think men need that little touch, and they'll give everything they have when they know that you appreciate it.
Just uniforms, keep the warm-up.
Getting an infrequent day off, especially on the road, Michael Jordan didn't hesitate to practice at his hobby.
Doug gave us the day off, and I checked the weather report, and it was supposed to be 65 here in Portland, so this worked out perfectly for me.
As on the basketball floor, Jordan shows pure form with each stroke.
This is fun. I mean, I've never had the opportunity to do this in my whole career playing in Chicago, and hopefully I can get more opportunities like this in the future. No, that's short.
It's important for Michael and I to always have an understanding. I understand the pressure on him. I understand his space. I understand all the things he goes through. Michael Jordan is a phenomenon. I don't know how he does it. I really don't.
Against Portland, the Bulls geared up for an old-fashioned shootout. They knew they would have to keep pace with a team which makes its living on the run. But as past weeks had shown, Chicago had a superb fast break of its own. Portland also had trouble slowing down Jordan, even with 3 men helping out as the Bulls rolled on to their second straight road win. This 15-point win was a successful tune-up before a meaningful showdown.
All right, now listen up, guys. Let's make sure, above all, we get some rest. Detroit were 1-4 against those Bulls. And it's on national TV, and I want to beat those guys on Sunday. So let's get ready to go. Come on, let's go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Silver Dome in Pontiac, Michigan, home of the arch-rival Pistons. Chicago was climbing up the Central Division ladder and looked to close the gap against Detroit. Up to the challenge was the March Player of the Month, whose 59 points set a league high for the year. A third-quarter basket by Joe Dumars put Detroit up by 7. That prompted Michael to go for the juggler and slam it down the Pistons' throats. His jumper put the Bulls on top with less than a minute to play. Now they had to play the clock. Isaiah Thomas found an opening, but Jordan evaporated his opportunity. A foul shot put Chicago up by 2 and left Detroit a chance to go for a tie or win it all.
Thomas inside, fires away. It's over, and the Chicago Bulls.
The Bulls again showed the intensity to play a full 48 minutes, a noteworthy feat for the end of a long road trip. This game greatly impressed Doug Collins as his team displayed great maturity since the season's start. But the next day in practice, all the talk was centered around Jordan's MVP caliber performance.
There's no doubt in my mind he's the most valuable player. The knock against him was that he wasn't making guys on the floor with him better. He is now. Every phase of the game, his defense is great. He's passing the ball much better this year. His assists are up. He's leading the league in steals, he's leading us in blocked shots, and he's the MVP. There's no doubt in my mind Michael Jordan is the MVP this year.
Of more immediate concern was if the Bulls could continue their inspired play throughout the stretch. And by all accounts, Collins' squad handled it beautifully. Chicago finished with the third fewest turnovers in the league, while making teams like the Bucks pay for their sloppiness. Next were the New York Knicks, who were constantly a step behind the surging Bulls.
Off to Jordan, Michael into the front court. Out to the left, quick drive in on Johnny Newman to the hoop. Oh!
We played at Milwaukee and won. We played home against New York and we went 45-30 with 7 games remaining. Hopefully we're going to win, anywhere from 47 to 50 games. And we've given our thoughts on getting ready what we're going to have to do to be successful for the playoffs.
Chicago's next opponent was Indiana, victims of the Bulls' vigorous hustle and occasional hocus pocus. By now, the mystery was out of who would receive the league's top awards. A pair of MJs were odds-on favorites for Rookie of the Year and MVP honors, but only one of them could soar to the heavens. With the club record 7 straight road wins, the big prize was in sight.
Yeah, now we're trying to get 50 wins because it's within reach and we're playing such good basketball.
On the season's next to last game, Charles Oakley hauled in 35 rebounds, the most by any player during the 1980s. Needless to say, the fast break worked rather well that evening. 49 wins in hand and just one more game to go. Nothing could have pumped Chicago's adrenaline more than capping the schedule against the Celtics. Chicago coasted to a 115-108 victory. They were now at the crossroads of the season. Behind them were 50 wins, the most by any Bulls team since 1974. Ahead, the playoffs. Stirring within the Bulls was a brand new emotion, a thirst to consume everything on their playoff menu. For the third time in club history, Chicago had home court advantage in the first round. Their opponents were the Cleveland Cavaliers, another young team trying to reach a new level of achievement. In Game 1, both teams predictably played up to their strengths until a second-half fast break that sent Bulls fans into shock. An improper landing sent Jordan hurtling to the floor in pain. Nearly 19,000 fans stood in stony silence to see if Chicago's floor general could pull through. But Michael was not about to let a trivial matter like injury stand in his way. Moments later, he re-entered the game and single-handedly put the Cavs away. The Bulls won the important opening game as Jordan earned a 2 thumbs-up review. It seemed that Michael's only competition in mid-flight was by the famed Jesse White tumblers, but even they had to take a back seat to Jordan's unbridled creativity. Coming off a 50-point performance, Jordan sought new shooting angles in Game 2. Again, he mystified the Cavaliers, who still managed to control the scoreboard. Cleveland sensed victory if they could double and triple-team Jordan. But Michael would defy these imposing odds. He pumped in an incredible 55 points and put Chicago on top late in the fourth quarter. Cleveland managed to hang tough as Mark Price buried a series of outside jumpers. With less than a minute remaining, the Bulls called timeout to set up Jordan, who nailed down a 106-101 victory. Michael also became the first player ever to post back-to-back 50-point games in the playoffs. The Cavs were a game away from elimination. As for the Bulls, more rave reviews as their coaches looked ahead to Game 3. In Cleveland, the Bulls learned why road wins are so hard to come by during playoff time. Larry Nance clogged a previously porous middle, and the Cavs' perimeter shooting game was in top form. Brad Sellers chipped in 22 points, only to be matched by his opposite number. To make a simple hoop, Chicago had to show all the moves and pull out all the stops. Cleveland had equal success with much less effort. Hopes for a late rally were effectively squelched by red-hot Mark Price, who sizzled for 31 points to close the Bulls series lead to 2-1. In Game 4, both teams also got strong outings from relatively quiet playoff contributors. Scottie Pippen for the Bulls. Ron Harper for the Cavs. Yet those forces which plagued Chicago in Game 3 were at it again. Larry Nance blocked 5 shots, and Mark Price was automatic from the outside. Jordan shot an incredible 18 for 25 and had 44 points. However, he was stifled in the closing minutes, thus ending a strong comeback bid. Cleveland shut the door on the last of Ron Harper's 30 points, who then blocked Chicago's final attempt to get back in the game. The series was now tied at 2 games apiece, and the decisive match would go back to Chicago. With the pressure of a 5th and final game, going back home was a blessing for the Bulls.
I had a chance to start on a team that was terrible, and I also know what it's like to be eliminated. And it's the worst empty feeling in the world that you have is walking out knowing your season's over. And I want our players to feel what it's like to go on, to make that next step.
A year's worth of work was in the balance. For the past 2 years, Chicago was unable to get past the first round of the playoffs. And now was the time to make a big payback. Yet Game 5 began as number 4 had left off. Cleveland controlled the action, this time by establishing a low-post offense. The Bulls would rally by going to their strength and went inside to Charles Oakley. His success spurred confidence in the rest of his teammates, who made the right moves at the right time. Pippen's 3 third-quarter steals tied a club record, while his 24 points boldly proclaimed that nothing would stand in the Bulls' way. For the series, Jordan wound up with 226 points, a new 5-game scoring mark for the playoffs. With a slim chance to pull the game out, an errant outlet pass proved to be Cleveland's final mistake. Had played a gutty series, but the spoils of victory belonged to the Bulls, who won their first playoff series in 7 years. The Bulls achieved all of their season-long goals, and now they have a new one in sight, to join the NBA elite and reach a higher ground.